I say no we you know do lay now.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started now. My name is Buell Anglin, and I'm co-chair of the Employment Committee for the Cherokee Nation. We'd like to welcome everybody here to Tahlequah today, and we're excited about seeing such a great turnout. At this time, I'd like to ask Councilman Joe Crittenden to lead us in the invocation.
I'll pray. Heavenly Father, I'd like to thank you for this day of life, this opportunity to come together and do the people's business. Father, I thank you for your grace and mercy towards us, your patience and understanding, and your long-suffering. Pray, Father, this meeting today that we'll reach an outcome that will be the best for the people. Father, I would ask that it be done in an orderly manner, and that when it's over, we'll have traveling grace back to our homes. I'd like to remember today our young people in harm's way. Protect them, Father. Watch over them. Keep them safe. They're over there doing their duty as best they know how. And Father, I pray that you watch over them. Go with us now through this meeting. Help us to reach the right decisions. And Father, forgive us where we fail. I ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
At this time, I'd like to ask Shelley to do our roll call.
Audra Connor. Bill Anglin.
Here.
Bill John Baker.
Present.
Tara Cowan. Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Meredith Rayleigh. Bill Johnson. Johnny Keener. Phyllis Sharkey.
Thanks, Shelley. We have a quorum. We have 5 committee members present. At this time, I would like to acknowledge Diana Mouse back there with Cherokee First. She's responsible for our information, which is right down the hall. So, Diana, would you like to say anything?
Yes, we have the Freedom of Information Act. If anybody has a request, any information about Legislative Act, or just any information about Cherokee Nation, they can come to Cherokee First. You request that, and we do have a certain amount of time that needs to be completed. So we have the forms available in Cherokee First, and you can call in and make a request also. So that number, extension number is extension 2937. So just give us a call.
Thank you, Diana. I'd like to also thank IS for coming out on a Saturday and video streaming this. It's live on the internet, so hopefully we've got people all over the world watching this today. This is certainly a historical time for us to do this TERO reform, because I've been out there where you're at now. I was TERO certified at one time also. I'd also like to recognize Diane Kelly, who's back here in the crowd. Diane, just wave at everybody. She'll be around today also for anybody that wants to have any questions with her. I'd like to thank the JOM, Job Corps is responsible for our refreshments and stuff today. And you're welcome anytime to go out and get you a snack or anything. So at this time, I'd like to also thank Marla Collins, our court reporter down here, sitting on the end. And we have a Sergeant Arms with the Cherokee Nation Marshal Service, and our timekeeper, which is Shelley Britton, and she will be giving you the signal for the ones that have requested to speak today, and she'll be giving you a 30-second cutoff, and also she will tell you when it's time to stop. So we have some guidelines on how we're going to treat this meeting today. For some of you may not have it, we have the old act up there on that table, and we have the new cleaned up version of the new act that we are looking at today. So at this time, I would like to turn it over to Neil Morton. He's going to be our moderator today, and Neil is seated to the right of me, and he will let you speak when it's your turn. Once again, we'd like to thank you for being here.
Thank you. The purpose of the hearing today, sponsored by the Employment Committee, is to obtain input concerning the existing TERO law and is hopefully directed toward specific issues concerning clearly defining a TERO company, how preference is given, the appeals processes, input on how to make the process better from beginning to end, and bonding and insurance requirements and sole sourcing requirements. Now, your comments and input are not limited to those topics, but those topics are the ones that would be of major interest to your committee. With any governmental public meeting, there must be rules and guidelines and orderly procedure. Now, that is not new information to any of you. Cherokee people have been participating in the governmental process, including public hearings, far longer than the national government of the United States. So this is nothing new to you as a people. But we will follow certain rules and guidelines. You know, Webster defines a moderator as two distinct functions. One is a person who keeps things orderly and on track. Yet there's a scientific definition too, and that scientific definition says that a moderator is an agent or a substance that is utilized to keep atomic particles from exploding during nuclear tests. We're going to deal with the first definition today, not the second one. There are some ground rules, as we've mentioned, and I would like to summarize those, even though those of you who will be providing information today have already received these, but there obviously will be, there are more people in the audience than will be offering information today or comments today, so I would like to go over those. First of all, this session is being video streamed live and will be available for your review or viewing through the Cherokee website, and it's a public record of the Cherokee Nation. As Council Member Anglin mentioned to you, you will have 3 minutes to present your comments, and then the committee will take up to 2 minutes for clarification or questions to you after you present your information. Now, some persons would rather stand when they present information, and some people would rather sit. So your committee has made arrangements for you to do either. If you prefer to sit and present your information, then please use the desk and microphone that's directly in front of me. If you'd rather stand, use the podium over here to my right. When you are called upon to present your information for the benefit of the viewing audience, both here and externally, please state your name, your company, if that is applicable, your position in the company, tribal citizenship status, and your address before giving your testimony. All your comments, of course, are to be addressed to the hearing body, which is the committee, and should be, of course, relevant to the existing TERO law and should be specified as to which portion of the law, if that is appropriate. And try to use your 3 minutes in the most effective fashion so that you can get your information before the committee. The committee also has accepted printed comments, printed information. If you desire to leave those comments, you're certainly welcome to do so. And please, of course, abide by the timekeeper's admonitions, and we'll conduct this, and we'll be out of here and on our way home. Now, you may be wondering, as a presenter or perhaps as a member of the audience, well, now, what happens next after we say what we want to say? What happens? Well, briefly, the committee will follow up. The public hearing summary, notes, and transcripts should be completed and available by February the 11th. February 16th is a regular employment committee meeting for discussion only of your information today. Then March 16th, at a regular employment committee meeting, proposed amendments will be presented and action will be taken concerning those amendments. And on April the 11th, at a regular tribal council meeting, TERO law proposed amendments will be presented for appropriate action, and on April 21st be the final action, the principal chief's signature and deadline for laws. So without further ado, I'd ask that if there are questions before the proceedings begin, if there are something that you do not understand or a point that you'd like to have clarified, now would be the time to do that. Committee will address your questions or comments. Yes, please stand.
Copy of the act. There are no more at the table.
Copy of the act. Let's see if we had those available.
Which version would you like to have?
They ran out.
Ran out of copies.
Can I just clarify something real quick? They're the same act. One is the act that is the hard copy that was never put in a soft copy prior to really having computers and diskettes. That's the same version as the cleaned up act. So one that may be easier to read should be the exact same version. It's just easier to read because it's been retyped as the same act. So if you're looking around and you have two different appearances of versions, and Diane's going to go get some copies, it is the same act. It is the current act that we should be working under right now. Yeah, the cleaned up version is the legal size paper, and the old version, meaning it's just hard typed, is the short paper.
Identifies what the cleaned up changes were, or if there were any?
Both of them should. They're both marked through, and that's part of the reason why it's difficult to read, is because it's been marked through. Or I apologize. There's all sorts of different versions. Some of them at the Microsoft Word editor. I'm looking at the one that they've got in front of me. The legal size is actually cleaned up as it reads now, and if you have the older version, it shows where there's been amendments made and that there's been strike-throughs.
Thank you.
But honestly, for the discussion here today, I don't know that that's relevant, because we need to only be discussing what's on the books today or how you guys want to see this work as TERO vendors, in my mind. So I'm trying to leave my mind open to what we need to have done in 2005.
I have another question here.
We're not lined up to speak today, but for some reason a comment or a question comes to mind, and at this point of the audience, will we be given an opportunity to make comments?
Providing that time is available, that would be appropriate. Which brings us to another item that has been presented by a member of the committee. It would be an advantage to the committee if they knew who is represented by whom. It might take just a minute, but if you would not mind, rather than go through this list, sign-in list, if you would just, let's start here, and if you just go right down the row and say what company you're with or your interests and so forth, and that would help the committee in determining proceedings.
Claremore, and we have a general interest in our government, and Cherokee County is a representative.
I'm Kenny Cherokee Solutions, also Claremore and James.
I'm Robin Flint Ballinger with Flint Co., the Tulsa office. We're here because we have a deep interest in the TERO work.
Dennis Affleck with Flint Co., obviously here with Robin. I work with TERO organizations around the country, and we'd like to help you guys get to where you want to be.
William Matthews, Cherokee Home Builders and Contractor for the Housing Authority.
I'm Raymond Bandy with System Forms and Supplies, Muskogee.
I'm Jim Ketcher, and I'm here as a spectator and general interest. How that could be.
Gary Cooper, Housing Authority of Cherokee Nation.
Good morning. I'm Diane Kelly, and I'm the Director for Career Services, which the TERO program falls under. I've been involved with it since its inception in 1985.
David Sutherland, I'm with the Housing Authority. I'm the Acting Executive Director.
I'm Mary James. I'm with Housing Authority.
I'm Bill Bandy with Bandy's Business Forum out of Cherokee.
Okay, let's come on down that road.
David Bandy's Business Forum.
Like we will industrial installation seeking determine.
We will get with GNS Construction. Gene Smith, GNS Construction.
Andy Livesey, Oklahoma Native American Business Development.
I'm Ron Day with Flint Co. Pat Freeman.
Dwight Tyner, Cherokee Housing Authority.
Eric Brooks from the Second Tank Incorporated.
John Harris, Justice Department.
Jim Majewski with Cherokee Nation Industries.
Irvin Locke, I'm a travel consultant here with the nation.
I'm Diane Allen with Housing Authority.
Margaret Parker with several local media groups in Halifax.
I'm Lee Marlowe with LW Survey.
Jeff Smith with Flint Co., currently involved in TERO on various projects.
Billy Martin with GSC Construction.
Robin Jackson with Park Sports Center.
Dave Brewer with Morgan Supply Company.
Janet Ann, I'm the construction manager for the Area 2 Housing Authority office. I represent 5 county contractors and the housing authority.
Joe Painter with Painter & Associates. I have a civil engineering consulting company.
Rob Bacon, Chelsea Builders.
Ted Foster, Chelsea Builders, TERO certified.
Gary Ketcher, Harry Cooper for the Housing Authority of the Cherokee Nation in Claremore.
Charlie White and Ryan Norwood represent Cheyenne Electric.
Grace Haney, Moore Brothers Floor Covering.
Larry Haney, Four Brothers Floor Cover.
Jason Dogger, Morningstar Construction. Roger Britton, Morningstar Construction.
Jerry Halpane, representing Jerry's Excavation.
Knight, Government Resources, Cherokee Nation.
Freddie Farrell with Full Circle Consulting here in Talbot, also a TERO certified member.
Snyder Plumbing.
Greg Carter with Champion Ford, and Bill Edmonds, our council member.
Jeff Carter with Hometown Lumber Incorporated, TERO certified, and Bill Langland's our representative.
Jack Dobbins, WW Enterprises, electrical contractors, TERO certified.
Wayne Clark, WW Enterprise, same thing.
Jan Hopper with Hopper Medical Clinic and the Sky Soldiers Enterprises.
I'm Alan Day with Daytech. We're a communications service provider.
Boyd Chisholm with Daytech, security surveillance.
Harvey Carroll, Cherokee Citizen. Keith Wright, Diamondback Steel Company.
G. Burnett, Rainbow Painting and Wall Coverage.
Gina Burnett, Rainbow Painting, from here in Telephone.
Phil Gibbons, TERO certified, BIA, IHS, DOT, Justice Department, Treasury. Bill Baker's our councilman.
Alfred Megan Farms.
Okay, we started on the wall here.
Dale Gibson, TERO.
Leroy Love, Cherokee, TERO.
Mike Weaver, TERO.
Terry Thompson, Spectator.
Who was a TERO certificate?
Okay, did we miss any? Back tape.
Okay, I'm Larry Ketcher, Cherokee Nation Career Services, part of TERO program.
I'm a Big Horse, TERO manager for Cherokee Nation.
I'm Clarissa Fisk with the Cherokee Nation Marshal Service.
Okay, with that, we will proceed to the list of persons who have signed up to speak, right? All right, just one other point is, did everyone get a copy of the act and other material that you feel that you need to proceed? Anyone who does not have a copy? Okay. All right. The persons who will speak, of course, were logged in by phone log in the order of the receipt of those calls, and the first person to speak will be Phil Gibbons.
Well, I want to thank the tribal councilors here today, the TERO committee, giving me the opportunity to speak. One of the concerns I have with the TERO Act is it conflicts a lot of times with current federal regulations, 25 CFR, 24 CFR, 7 CFR, and I think the council and the committee needs to address these conflicts of interest in their upcoming hearings, proceedings of what they would like to see the future TERO Act consist of. I'm going to save the rest of my time, Councilman Baker, for questions of what you said.
Mr. Gibbons, can you turn your microphone on? That should be the button. I don't think it's on. Could you restate those? You said 25 CFR and...
Is this on?
maybe it'd be better if all the speakers are seated here in the front middle.
Good. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. As I stated earlier, it's always an honor to come to Cherokee Nation, whether it's a civil meeting or a pleasant meeting like this, to do business with the tribal government. One of the things that I requested time to speak is how TERO is in conflict with federal law. The CFRs I quoted were 24 CFR, 25 and 7 and 49, and how those CFRs impact our relationship with TERO and Cherokee Nation and those federal agencies.
And just for the record, because I'm not familiar with these CFRs, can you give us a few examples of how they conflict?
A good example, Cherokee Nation, the recipient of over $30 million of 24 CFR, NAHASDA, Native American Self-Determination Housing money. We also receive BIA, IHS self-government monies. And we also receive 7 CFR Department of Agriculture monies. Those are a great part of our budget here at Cherokee Nation, Indian Health Service and Housing. And we need to look at that. I'd like for the council members and the TERO committee members to look at those CFRs and see how they either mix and match or in conflict with the existing TERO Act, or how we can improve the TERO Act in looking at those different CFRs.
Mr. Givens, I guess I'm still at a loss on what specifically conflicts, as an example.
Okay, let me give you an example. We have a housing authority employee here today. When we have bid jobs with Cherokee Nation, we utilize our TERO certificate and our Section 3 certificate. As I speak today, I am the only Section 3 TERO certified contractor in this room. 24 CFR is real clear in how you do business with people that are TERO and Indian, living in an Indian home, and if you're certified as such. We have a hard time getting that over to Cherokee Nation employees.
So just to clarify, what you're saying is that you can only be TERO certified. You should only be TERO certified under these federal guidelines if you are a federally recognized tribal citizen living on Indian land in an Indian home.
No, ma'am. I'm saying we can utilize our TERO certificate with our Section 3 certificate and legally be given a statutory preference higher than what the TERO preference gives us. And that's been our problem, to educate some Cherokee Nation employees, some council members, on exactly what 24 CFR 135, 222, 223 through 17 means. And we've learned over the years in dealing with Cherokee Nation that we feel like everybody out here should be able to read the CFR.
All right, we're at the 30-second mark.
I'm going to suggest to you, with the limited time, that you submit stuff to us in writing concerning these CFRs.
Are there any other questions from committee members?
Thank you, Mr. Givens.
Next speaker will be Jerry Halpine. And let me remind you again, for purposes of the record, to state your name, company, positioning company, tribal citizenship status before we begin giving testimony.
Good morning. My name is Jerry Halpine, owner of Jerry's Excavation and Pegs, 9011 North 547 Road, Holbert, Oklahoma. I've been a TERO certified contractor since 1995, and I appreciate the time to discuss some issues with the current procurement policy in effect. Currently, the procurement policy for TERO certified businesses like myself, is 10% given for the first 2 years of the company's certification, and after 2 years, the 10% is dropped. Assuming that TERO was established to help Indian-owned businesses, and the 10% was there to help you be more competitive and awarded more jobs with the current procurement policy, the TERO program only helps the Indian-owned businesses for 2 years. Here's the problem. After disallowing Indian preference, after the 2 years, why go through the process if it is only good for that time? You have businesses coming for the 2 years or so, dropping the TERO certification under that business's name and changing the business name, and then reapplying for new certification under a new name. The current procurement policy will discourage new contractors. If they're thinking, I will only be certified for 2 years, what's the use? I came into this business as Jerry's Excavation and have for 10 years. Being Jerry's Excavation. I keep an 80% or better CDIB card holder employees all year. I keep all the insurance requirements, workman's comp. I've done it by the book. I call TERO if I'm looking for more help. I respect the TERO program for what it represents, but I don't agree with the procurement policy now in effect. I was awarded a job this past September, and I paid the 0.5% of my total bid to TERO Department for programs to improve the TERO job placement. But if I'm going to give TERO Department money for development, then I want the tenured contractors to receive his 10% after the 2 years. I want to discuss with you for a moment the current bonding and insurance requirements also. For Indian-owned businesses currently, when I bid work to the Cherokee Nation, contractors do not have to put up a bid bond. A bid bond basically tells the owner of the project that the contractor is financially capable and experienced enough to do the job. Right now, it is not required for a contractor to put that bid bond up when bidding with the Cherokee Nation. This encourages irresponsible bids from inexperienced contractors. I bid work all the time, and I always give a bid bond. I had some more, but I've only got 30 seconds left. And I would also like to see everything that's put out for the Cherokee Nation does put out for bids, like the casino work, the Cherokee Nation or the CNE. Right now, it's currently not. A lot of that stuff is just in-house. It needs to go out for everybody to bid on. Are there any questions?
Will you please submit that, a copy?
Yes. I lost a job about a year ago by $246. It was I was the low bidder on it. A company that had been TERO'd had dropped their TERO certification, come back and got it later, and then they had the 10%, and they beat me out on it, $246. I didn't think that was too fair, because I personally did not do that. There's a lot of these companies out here that don't have workman's comp or general liability. They bid these jobs because they don't have to put up a bid bond. Then once they get the job, then they'll go and get all the requirements that they need, and they can beat us on some of that stuff because they don't carry workman's comp and general liability year round like we have to, which makes our overhead higher. And I would like to see that change.
Other questions? Okay, if not, thank you, Mr. Halpay. Next speaker will be Franklin Swimmer McLemore. Is Mr. McLemore present? Okay, the record will show that Mr. McLemore was not appearance. That brings us to Rick Richards, who is in attendance but does not desire to offer statements, correct? Am I correct on that, or is there?
I think Mr. Richards is present.
Yeah, so we'll mark, is Mr. Richards present? So Mr. Richards is not in the room. That brings us to Nikki Norwood of Cheyenne Electric.
morning. I'm Nikki Norwood with Cheyenne Electric. I'm their spokesperson and also part owner. A few points that we would like to make is that we believe that as TERO vendor, it would enhance the TERO vendor bid list for the invitations to bid to be received sooner. Also, that TERO vendors, they'd have a better chance to bid on that. And we as Cheyenne Electric, we have been on the Cherokee vendor. We've been the Cherokee vendor for 2 years now, and we've never received a bid, ever. Not an invitation to bid. And that's Cherokee Nation and Cherokee Nation Enterprises. It would enhance the TERO bid list for the TERO vendors to be able to go to one person. There's been several times you call up here and you get transferred from person to person to person and get sent back to somebody you've already talked to that cannot help you. To enhance the Cherokee program towards TERO vendors by offering schooling as an incentive to build jobs in the skilled labor for our employees. The problem I'm afraid we are going to run into, people living outside the Cherokee territory and living in, example, Creek territory, have a great disadvantage in getting help for schooling tags and for other vehicles and housings. We're thinking that if we could send people to school and get them trained as skilled labor, our field is electricity. If we would have the advantage to train these people, they would go further. The TERO vendor could be enhanced by the TERO office by recognizing a non-Indian spouse that supports an Indian family. Example in that would be a non-Indian spouse as the breadwinner, and this would enhance the TERO workforce again if we trained the people, not necessarily if they're not Indian, but they may be supporting an Indian spouse or their Indian children. And our Cherokee children are our future. And we want to make sure that they have every opportunity to be supported, even if that means trying to train a non-Indian spouse. We as a TERO vendor have not had a chance to express our feelings about changes in the TERO law, and we want to thank you for giving us that opportunity. And I hope the council does not take this as a complaint, but as an enhancement to the TERO law.
Okay, do we have questions from members of the committee?
Yes, thank you. Ms. Norwood, so you're asking that we consider recognizing non-Indian spouses the same as one of our tribal citizens for TERO?
I'm saying that if we have, say, my husband is a white guy. I mean, if he comes in and he is working under Cheyenne Electric as an electrical company, I see no reason why he shouldn't be trained also, be offered training, because he's supporting an Indian family. And that's just going to help us to grow and grow and grow. We ought to give them the opportunity to be trained as well as the Indian.
So just to clarify, you're not asking us to recognize them for TERO Indian-owned purposes as a business, but you're asking for the benefits through like career services and such for training as a skilled laborer. Correct. If they're married to an Indian person. Correct. Okay. I don't know if that's even a possibility because most of them is federal government dollars, and there's going to be guidelines on that.
Right.
But I have a note to look into it. So.
Thank you for
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to Michael Kelly for Redstone Investments. Is Mr. Kelly present? Okay. Is there anyone here to speak for Redstone Investments? Brings us to Dennis Heflick with Flint Co.
First of all, I'd like to say I'm honored to be here. I think I understand what you guys are attempting to do, and it's certainly the right thing to do.
State your name and status. We have, of course, one time slot per person.
Yes, sir. I'm Dennis Heflick. I'm Vice President of American Indian Development for the Flint Co. companies. I've come from Albuquerque, New Mexico this morning. And my address there is 6020 Indian School Road, Albuquerque, New Mexico. I've sent a letter to council that you should have received yesterday, and I would like to add to those comments that were a part of that letter. I travel the country. TERO is something that I work with throughout the country, throughout Indian country. Typically, it's my first stop when I go to a reservation or a pueblo or a rancheria. It's very important to be successful on a reservation that you work with your TERO organization. One thing, I've gone through your act, and some of the things that I think you might want to add to it if they're not there yet is that your jobs must be published and very specifically refer to the TERO ordinances that apply to that job. Your job training program may be a factor of the size of the job. The bigger jobs would obviously be better for training than a very small job. A published wage scale, and what I've found in the past is sometimes there's a published wage scale, but it's not correct if it's not a Davis-Bacon job. Your TERO office is very important to pre-qualify the people who are TERO individuals and understand the TERO office needs to understand as they send those people to the job that if they aren't of that skill level that there's a request made for people that fit that skill level. We found on our larger jobs that a TERO liaison person within the job site trailer itself really helps coordinate that effort between TERO and the job itself. Your TERO tax could be on a sliding scale depending on the size of the job. You have a Cherokee certification and a preference. Other places we've worked also have an Indian preference that's below, in this case, the Cherokee preference and above a non-native company. I guess this is kind of a short statement, but it's important, I think, that your TERO office has some teeth, that the people that are working with your TERO office understand that they can't enforce the rules and regulations. I'm sitting here listening to your 10% preference for a 2-year-old company. That's a pretty high preference. I haven't run across that before. You might give some thought to that. That's 10%, and $30 million would be a $3 million worth of preference over the course of those contracts.
Questions from committee members?
Were there some things that you didn't have time to get to that?
No, I actually got to number 9, and that was it. But if you want me to do some more, I would. We spend a lot of time with TERO on a national basis, and there's certainly some people within the national TERO organization that are familiar with what's updated in TERO rules and regulations around the country.
Okay, if there are no more questions or comments, Mr. Chaplin, thank you.
Thank you.
I have another. Well, is Mr. or Miss Robin Ballinger here from Flintco? And also,
in the interest of time, I think I'm covered.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, that will bring us to Ken Kidd, CNL Supplying. Is Mr. Kidd in the audience? Comments have been presented. Granted.
Need to read some of these into the minutes.
At the end of the of the oral testimony if the committee would like, and if the committee deems it appropriate to read in comments from persons who were absent but submitted printed comments. Okay. All right, Mr. Ed Crittenden. Not present. Okay. Mr. Brent Wright, aide for American Fund Advisors.
Good morning. I just got here, so I don't know the routine, but my name is Brent Wright. I'm with Native American Fund Advisors. We're located in Tulsa. We've been in business since 1996. I appreciate the opportunity to speak here today. We do investment management, and we currently, year-end, have over $187 million under management. It's probably one of the top 5 privately owned investment management firms in Oklahoma. Investment management firms are generally gauged on assets under management and years in service. We've been in business since 1996. Of that $187 million under management, we currently have probably over $100 million dedicated or our clients from tribal entities. We manage Nahasda funds, Indian Health Services funds, and as well as operations funds and self-governance. The point is, we try to get a return better than you just leaving your funds in a bank or investing them in a CD. We're doing business with probably top 5 tribes in the nation as far as population, and we've tried to do business with the Cherokee Nation as well. In fact, I've got some names I'd just like to read off who we've met with in the past or since 1996. Some of these names may be familiar to you. Chad Smith, Callie Ketcher, Jay Hanna, Darren Burgess, Jenny Battles, Jim Paris, Vicki McCoy, Sharon Swepston, Sharon Wright, Doug Evans, Todd Hembry, Ron Qualls, David Sutherland, Andrew Skeeter, L.S. Fields, Mary James, David Stewart, Sean Slayton, Dennis Dow, Taylor Keene, Rebecca Mitchell, and Deborah Clinton. We've met with a lot of people from the Cherokee Nation to try to do business with you. We are TERO certified. We've been TERO certified since 2000. We pay our $25 a year. The point I'd like to make is just go ahead and just look at what you have in place as far as your laws and just enforce them. That's all we ask. We just want the opportunity to compete just like any other firm. Thank you.
And you are a Cherokee Nation tribal citizen, correct?
I am.
Baker.
I assume it's TERO, so it's 51% Cherokee, 51% what?
Yes, sir. We have a 60-40 split. We have 5 partners, which are Native American from the Chickasaw Nation, Creek Nation, and Cherokee Nation, as well as 2 Yonah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wright. The next presenter will be Ted Foster from Chelsea Builders.
My name is Ted Foster, Chelsea Builders, 300 Vine Street, Chelsea, Oklahoma. We're TERO certified. My partner, Rob Bacon, is sitting right up there behind me. We are 100% Cherokee owned and operated. And as of this morning, We are one sub short of being 100% Indian operated. All of our subs are now Cherokee Indians, except one, and we're working on that. Some of the problems that we have faced and some of the things that we wrangle with are such things as bonding, insurance. We have a good training program started. We have taken young men who were carpenters and now they're framers and lead carpenters and layout people, and we're very proud of that situation. But to try to tell a young man to go get liability insurance when he can't afford it, and to get workman's comp when he can't afford it, puts a hardship on everybody. And there are companies out there that are temp services that you can apply to, and they take a percentage of the person's check and then in turn furnish their workman's comp and general liability. And I wish the tribe would set up something like that to help young Indian entrepreneurs get started in the business. The other problems that we have is bonding. The gentleman behind me was talking about bonding. I think there's an answer to that, which we've been using. It's a part of the bid packet. And you want to keep the people out who are getting in there without those type things. You simply require an irrevocable letter of credit from your bank. That is 10 times better than a bond, because the tribe can go cash that, they can go draw on that irrevocable letter of credit anytime I fail to perform. And if I'm under bond and I fail to perform, we got to go to court. And the irrevocable letter of credit bypasses the court. We have a lot of problems with bonding companies wanting to bond us because they say if we have to go to court, we got to go to Indian court, and we don't think we're going to come out good. I'm just telling you what they tell us. And that's a problem. But the irrevocable letter of credit will put a stop to that. And if you can't get an irrevocable letter of credit for the amount of your contract, you're probably not very stout anyway, because you have to have a bank back you if you're going to be in business. I think as somebody alluded to a while ago, you have rules, just enforce them. I think your penalties for non-compliance are very weak. We were involved in a situation which I won't go into, but the reason we became our own company because we were part of another company, and a lot of funny business took place, and we were used, and we didn't like it, and we jerked the certificate and started over. But nothing has ever been done to rectify the injustice that was done by using my partner and I as the front Indians to get a big lucrative contract.
Okay, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm just talking about, TERO is a good organization. And if you approach it from the attitude that we tried to, and maybe we were just young and didn't know what we were doing, but we have used Ed Big Horse and Leroy Wolf and all the guys at TERO, and they have helped us tremendously to find workers and to encourage us to get workers. The people at Area 2, Gary Ketcher and Janet Gann and Diane Alley, God bless them, we don't work for them, we work with them. And we have built, we have 20 houses that we're building, and people say we can't build them fast enough. How fast do you want them built? We'll build them. And we've found time in the same last year to rehab 17 houses and to re-roof 16 apartments. And I want to make one final point. We paid last year, in the year 2004, to our subs and to other labor, $549,128. That's chicken feed if you're Flint, but it's big bucks if you're us. And those kids that we paid that money to took it back to Locust Grove and Chelsea and different places. And if you know anything about economics, you know that a dollar spent in Locust Grove may get spent there 5 or 6 more times before it leaves. And we're proud of that fact. So our little company actually generated, just by paying our subs, $3,843,000 of economic impact on their communities. And we're proud of that. We don't have too many gripes, but I do think your laws need to be a little tougher. If somebody violates the law, they need to be hammered big time. Not just take away their certificate. That's, you escape with $600,000 and you get your certificate taken away. We could do that every day.
I have a question from
Okay.
Yes, this may be a question for our law and justice, but do we not write in our specifications an irrevocable letter from the bank? Isn't that one of, John, you may add?
They're in there, Buell. They're in there, yes. But
Okay.
maybe sometimes they're not brought. We have been to places to bid, have been to different bid places, and we were told you will bond, period.
Is this through the housing authority?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're not being consistent.
But we're doing it in area 2. The other way you can do this, and I don't want to turn out any secrets, but if you bid your houses out in groups of 3, you're under the $250,000 limit, and no bonding would be required except the irrevocable letter of credit.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thank you so much.
Next we have Pamela Huddleston or Paul Bickford from Cherokee Data Solutions.
I'll be reading from the large print version. My name is Paul Bickford with Cherokee Data Solutions. We're a TERO certified company, been in business about 3 years. I'm in the sales and engineering department, and I am a Cherokee citizen, as is my spouse, Pamela. So, thank you for sponsoring this public forum to hear the people. Recognizing this respected council is responsible for the operating policies for all of tribal employment, this brief hopes to provide insight to the economic results of these policies. This discussion is limited to the economics of spending Cherokee dollars within our Cherokee community versus outsourcing our dollars to peoples who are foreign to our Cherokee community, and the extrapolated impact of the 10% preference. Rogers State University recently provided data from a report prepared by the U.S. Department of Commerce that describes the impact within a regional area of how a dollar spent within that area multiplies both earning dollars and employment dollars. The study shows that, for example, a single dollar spent on information technology within Rogers County creates a combined impact of $2.71 in increased earnings and jobs. Similar multipliers may be applied for a variety of industries in this long-running study. The net of the concept is that by keeping a dollar that you already own within local commerce, your family and neighbors are able to spend it 2.7 more times, perpetuate a more robust local economy. Even better, importing a dollar into your local commerce allows you to spend it more than 3 times. Cherokee citizens have realized the benefit of dollar multiplication from revenue into CNI and CNE. Consistent with Cherokee efforts to import new dollars from surrounding states through the intense effort to add casino capacity, the Cherokee are the only tribe with leadership vision to build a resort destination, making Cherokee country in fact a dollar destination. Tribally owned enterprises cannot be immune from a fiscal policy which mandates that Cherokee dollars are retained within the Cherokee community whenever possible. A dollar controlled by a Cherokee Nation owned enterprise leverages the same on the back end as a dollar in the nation's coffers. It makes no sense to lose over $2 to save a dime at CNE and CNI while enforcing a TERO policy only at the nation. TERO is not a welfare program, but it is a valid method to ensure that a Cherokee dollar spent with a TERO vendor is multiplied to $2.71 within the bounds of the Cherokee family. A portion of Cherokee Nation business is certainly awarded to actual low-bid vendors who also happen to be TERO certified. The occasional dime of additional cost to steer Cherokee Nation business to a TERO vendor brings a 27-fold economic benefit to our people. Without question, the nation is right to demand quality products and timely services, to demand ethical practices, to demand performance and always accountability from vendors, especially TERO vendors. Your choice on where to spend our Cherokee dollars must also make good economic sense. Spending decisions of the nation are not as trivial as where do we get the most bang for the buck. We are a nation, not a short-sighted industry seeking best practice regardless of the cost. I have maybe a minute, if that's all right. We are a nation, I said that. Rather, how does your decision to spend fulfill the mission of our nation? Does it return maximum financial benefit to Cherokee country? As made apparent by the data, the 27-fold financial benefit...
I'm going to interrupt and provide an opportunity for you to present your printed data.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. I had a couple of questions. So to clarify, the RSU study said every dollar we spend with a TERO vendor that would bring back $2.71, or it has an economic impact of $2.71 to the community for every dollar we would spend with a TERO vendor. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that would also, I personally have been pondering not only our TERO preference for Indian-owned businesses, but some sort of preference for if there should not be a qualified Indian-owned business, the next tier for preference would be a locally owned business before it would ever go out of state or out of even northeastern Oklahoma. If you cannot, I mean, is this something that everyone would consider as a good thing?
Yes.
And that would be something we should be working in also to this law? Because that's been on my mind, and I've been struggling with that.
The data is absolutely there to support that. In fact, the discussion we're having in the car on the way down here is that whether that dollar goes to a TERO vendor or any local vendor, on the back end is the Cherokee people of northeastern Oklahoma that benefit from that dollar staying in Oklahoma, specifically northeastern Oklahoma.
Any other points that you might have not got to that I would like to hear?
This is an abridged version, and it was still more than 3 minutes. We have a complete report that Pamela has spent a number of hours studying this issue, spent time with the economic department there at Rogers State University. There's ample data. If at any time you'd like to review some of that data, she'll certainly visit with you on that. Just in closing, I did want to comment that this is also more than just the economy. This also has to do with our greater mission of self-determination and sovereignty. It's not just a matter of keeping jobs here for economy. It's also a matter of determining who we are as a people, how we do our business, and how we support our citizens, and ultimately keeping the jobs here so that the people are here so that we can each individually support our government. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Our next presenter will be Roger Britton from Morningstar Construction.
I'm Roger Britton, P.O. Box 973, Morningstar Construction, Skytook, Oklahoma. One thing I'd like to say is thank you guys for whoever was involved in moving the one office from Owasso to Collinsville. That's sure going to help a lot of people in the area. A little more access. But we're TERO certified. We've been working with the Housing Authority at Claremore a lot. And we think it's not fair that, that we have to pay $25 for a work permit for non-Native American employees when a lot of them are married to Native American and they have small children to feed, take care of. And it seems to us like the small contractors, we have to follow by the TERO rules, and a lot of the larger ones aren't. We have people that are local, and we spend our money in our local community and help the local community going. We need more training classes and programs in our community up in our area. Most of our workers are Section 3, and they've been getting assistance from one source or another. And, we provide on-the-job training for them, but basically that's about the only place they can get any training if they want to work. And it seems to me like we all in here have about the biggest problem is, trying to get bonding, insurance, and funding. Looks to me like the TERO could set some funds aside for that also. Last week, we were contacted by an out-of-state company that had a bid here in Tahlequah, and they wanted us to prepare a bid in 2 days. It's a pretty big project, and we told them it was just impossible. and they asked for a copy of our TERO certificate along with phone numbers and contacts, and said basically that was all they wanted. They just wanted to show that we were contacted. They weren't interested in our bid. They were more interested in our certificate. And we have several of those calls through the year. And I can say too that the TERO has really helped us a lot, and it's been good for the area and for us. And they call and come by and check with us and see if there's anything that they can do to help us, and ask us, if there's anything that we need and that they can do. And I guess that's about all I have.
Do you have any questions of Mr. Britton? Comments? Thank you very much. I'd like to remind all of the presenters today to leave your written comments so that they too can be entered into the record, because we realize that all of you did not get to present all of the points that you had listed. We have several persons that could not be present today but did request that brief comments be read into the record, and that will be done immediately following about a 10-minute break. And at that time also, those persons who may have registered late and wish to address the committee may do so at that time. So we'll take a 10. I'm sorry. No, we have a couple more, but they are faxed comments from Duffy and yeah. So I think now, after the break, we will read the comments into the minutes, and then if there are persons who have not had the opportunity to offer oral presentations, you do so at that time. So, correct. Very good. 10-minute break. We will resume promptly in 10 minutes.
There are some. If everybody could get seated, please.
No, he did.
Okay, we're ready to get started again, so we'll just pick up where we left off.
He did speak. All right, we want to make sure that everyone who wanted to offer comments to the committee will have the opportunity to do so. And in case we miss someone from the list, if there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak, we'd be happy to entertain your comments at this time. I believe there were a couple who indicated perhaps they did. One was a Freddie Farrell. Is that true? All right, if you would come to the table there. And
while he's being seated, I just want to note for the record that Councilwoman Audra Smoke Connor and Councilman Johnny Keener are present.
Okay, Mr. Farrell.
Thank you. My name is Freddie Farrell. I'm from Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Mr. Baker is my councilman, and so is Ms. Connor. And I am a TERO certified vendor. The name of my company is Full Circle Consulting. I'm here today just really to make a few comments on some past experiences and hopefully some comments that might improve the process. I'd just like to ask the TERO Council to remember why we're here, what TERO is really about. It's to help Cherokee people, and I think that should be our first preference. And to make it simple, we can make legislative acts that are 50 pages long, and I know that we need to do that to some degree for legalities. But remember, we've got people here who need to understand how the process works, and I think that should be our priority so they can take advantage of this. Secondly, I'd like to talk about preference to some degree. We identify preference as any Indian-owned company, and I think that we should identify that as any Cherokee-owned company first, and then drop down to a second-tier preference of any Indian-owned company after that. And I think that should be included within the 14-county jurisdiction of the Cherokee Nation, so we can utilize companies who do live here that do make an economic impact on our communities. And it's been very well demonstrated by past people up here talking today that the value is within our communities and what we can do. And it goes back to why we have TERO to begin with, and it's to improve the lives of Cherokee people, to help them become more self-sufficient. So I think that's what it's designed to do. One thing that I'd like to talk about also is maybe TERO from a non-construction standpoint. I believe most of the people in the audience here are probably in the construction side of it and maybe not on the service side of it, and the validity and the authority of the TERO committee. If you look at some of the processes that we have on the services side, we deal on an RFP a lot of times based on point schedules. Sure, we might have a TERO preference of 10 points, but that RFP can be written in a way where that 10 points doesn't mean anything. It can be written in a way to award the bid to an entity that they want to give it to. So I would like for you to address that in future dealings with the Act to make sure that TERO really has some teeth and that it really applies and is applicable to some of our Indian-owned vendors. Let's see. Sole sourcing also, I think, is something that needs to be addressed. I don't know if anybody has talked about that yet today. That can be a dangerous sword and it can be a good sword. If we want to act as a prime vendor for sole sourcing, like the federal government does, I think that could be good. But we need to make sure that these prime vendors or sole source acquirers are utilizing Indian-owned subs. And I think it needs to be well documented and it needs to be substantiated by evidence. And if we want to get to a point where we feel like we have to incentivize these prime or sole source entities, why not do what the federal government is doing and enact a Cherokee preference system where there might be an award. Okay.
Mr. Baker.
Sure. I would just like to continue on with the maybe the Cherokee preference point if we do go to a sourcing requirement where there is an incentivized environment for these primes to utilize Cherokee subcontractors. And really, that's pretty much it. If we could just, make TERO where people understand it, people can utilize it, and people get a fair shake, and make sure that the administrative side of the Cherokee Nation is on board with this and that they will comply. And it should be across the board. It shouldn't just be CNI, or it should not just be CNO, or maybe the Housing Authority. It should be every entity of the Cherokee Nation. It should be CNE, CNI, or CNO. And everybody should comply with TERO on the same level playing field.
Yes.
Have you ever experienced frustration by not even getting an opportunity to bid?
Not so much that. I had an occurrence almost 4 years ago, which led me to get on the bandwagon about TERO, where it came down between an entity and myself competing on an insurance program for the Housing Authority. And I know that the people who were in place there are not in place now, so I feel more free to talk about this without stepping on any toes, but it came down between me and them. We offered the same product, same company, same plans, same rates. Everything was there, yet they got the bid. I had received correspondence the day before the award saying that the bids were very close. So I was somewhat disappointed when I found out I didn't win, being local. This company was out of Kansas. Very, very disheartening. So I protested. When I got my letter back from the former executive director, he gave a point schedule. The bids were very close before the day they were awarded. When I got my point schedule, this entity received a perfect score of 90. The only points they did not receive was TERO in Section 3. I received a point award of 53. My question was, how can the bids be so close and then get so far away? The question was never answered. Thank you very much for your time.
I would like to announce at this time that I understand that some persons in the audience, at least before the break, were here to obtain information about becoming certified, or TERO certified, and perhaps even to pick up application materials. If that is true, if you'll see Mr. Ketcher, who's sitting at the table in the back of the room, he'll be happy to answer your questions and assist you. Okay, this is the last call for testimony, or it's not really testimony, for comments to the committee by participants before I read into the minutes the correspondence that the committee received from persons who could not be present today, but ask that their comments be read into the minutes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
If I could, just a minute. I do sit on the TERO committee. I have, for several years, experienced a lot of frustration with TERO. We are, sincerely looking at TERO to make it easier, more functional, better for the Cherokee people. What we're having problems with is if you change one thing that seems to help, it could very well hurt others. So I truly appreciate you all coming today and giving us some food for thought and some things that we can research and look and see how we can best serve the Cherokee people. But it is something that we do not take lightly, and so if any of you come up with thoughts after this meeting, contact your council people. We're on a track of a couple of months to take more private comments, more ideas, and see if we can't form it into something that will work absolutely best for you as contractors, we as a nation, for the Cherokee people in general. And so I mainly just wanted to thank you for coming, and I do appreciate my seatmate, Otter Connor, who is chairman of this committee. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments before I read items into the minutes? Recordings?
Just logistically, first I do want to thank the committee for considering my original proposal to make this public hearing possible, and for all of you for attending, because if it wasn't successful today, then we may not have additional public hearings for comment on such issues like TERO that have continued to be a big question for the Cherokee Nation. So I'm hoping that this is the beginning of other public hearings for other such topics, and I appreciate the committee for allowing this to happen and for all of you to be making it a success. But I just want to reiterate, it's in the packet, but if you want follow-up on what the committee does and to be notified of things for any follow-up letters that we committed to, then you have to make sure that we understand how to contact you after this. So if you didn't sign up on the sign-in sheet, or you don't email one of us as your council representative, we're not going to know to contact you after this hearing. So please make sure we know to notify you and what address and phone number to reach you at, and your name and your business. Thank you.
Okay, the first item presented for reading into the minutes is from Collins Quality Printing of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Dear Council, it is my concern that there needs to be a better process in place for the letting of one-time bids and contracts for work in regards to the printing and publishing of materials used by the Cherokee Nation. As it stands today, there is but a fraction of work that is actually placed up for bid. Most of the work seems to go back to the original vendor without regards to price. I have even been told in my pursuit of trying to obtain work that the buyers get to choose who they use and are not required to place jobs up for bidding. This seems very unfair. In fact, if you are a new TERO certified vendor, you will have little if any chance to obtain work because of older vendors that have been in the system before you. The solution to this is simple. Most all the larger cities and government agencies post their jobs for bid via the internet or fax with a specified bid opening date. Even jobs that require fast delivery can be quoted, faxed back to the buyer the same day. Please provide a response to me in regards to this matter at address listed below. Mrs. Wanda Duffy of Collins Quality Printing. The next one is from Graphic Resources and Production of I missed an address. Here it is, from Broken Arrow. It says, thank you for the opportunity to voice my comments regarding my TERO certification with the Cherokee Nation. I was certified in 1997 and worked very diligently to present all my credentials as requested by your board and was certified on my second appointment. At that time, I was told I would now be given the first priority on all supplies, equipment, and services that Graphic Resources supplied. Much to my disappointment, that has not been the case. In fact, I have received very few orders. I have taken it upon myself to call and visit with every department individually, reselling my company and reminding them that I am TERO certified. Many were not even aware that Graphic Resources was on the list, and several told me they have been ordering from another company in Tulsa who was not certified, simply because the sales representative called on them. I have continued to renew my application process and have kept my certification up to date with the hope that I can obtain some business with the Cherokee Nation. I would appreciate full consideration in the future. My main question to the board is, quote, why go through all the effort if the council does not uphold its promises, end quote. I regret that I am unable to attend the meeting on 12905, but I will watch with great hope and anticipation of changes to be made in the betterment of TERO members. Verna Roberts, Graphic Resources and Production. The next is an anonymous comment, and the packet that was sent to prospective attendees of this committee meeting did provide a provision for a person to present items and remain anonymous. To the Employment Committee, I have a few comments on the areas of focus for this meeting. I am concerned about the actual need for TERO when requirements of that organization are not considered in the final selection of a contractor. If Indian contractors are to receive a preference, it should be given to Indian contractors when they rightfully deserve it. Many contractors no longer bid on Cherokee Nation work, not only because of the length of the bid process, but also the unequal evaluation of contractors. Guidelines may be in place for grievances and appeals process, but not followed. They just decide your grievance was not valid. Bonding requirements are too high for new companies. Now a question, are C&E and C&I required to abide by TERO guidelines? Thank you. The next one is from CNS Supply, Inc., from Veneta, Oklahoma. To us. In response to your memorandum dated December 29, 2004, I would like for the following comments and questions to be read into public record at the Tribal Council hearing on Saturday, January the 29th, 2005. Item number 4, which is entitled Process Improvements Needed. Issue number 1, Bid Notification Process. The majority of the business currently done between C&L Supply and Cherokee Nation pertains to product that is used for remodel or replacement, installed by Cherokee Nation employees, purchased and paid for by Cherokee Nation and or Cherokee Housing. Question number 1. Is C&L Supply listed as a vendor for all the product categories that we distribute? If not, how do we get recognized? The product categories then are listed: plumbing, HVAC, gas, wood heating, major household appliances, electronics, furniture. And then we go to question 2. How can we assure that we have an opportunity to bid on the above items requested by the Cherokee Nation and its entities? Currently, we are not being notified 100% of the time. Issue number 2, product descriptions. Product descriptions used on the request for bid are typically vague. We feel that this makes it difficult to compare the bid received. Suggestion: use more brand names and model numbers as a reference point. Also along this line, recommend brands that are provided by TERO vendors. If this is acceptable, we would need to be provided a contact person with whom we could communicate concerning brands and models we offer. I'm sure that other TERO vendors would be happy to do the same. Item number 3, new construction. When the Cherokee Nation has a job that is new construction, i.e. housing addition, casino, offices, and so forth, I would assume you try to use TERO contractors. Question number 3. Since we are not a contractor, we are somewhat excluded. Is it possible for you to encourage all contractors to use a TERO vendor? And if so, there might be an allowance for the contractor, especially if the bid was awarded by a TERO contractor who is getting these materials from a TERO vendor. Grievances and appeals process. Once we bid a job, we're not being notified in cases where we are not awarded a purchase order. In the past, we always received notification that listed the vendor who was awarded the purchase order and the total amount of the purchase order. Without this information, it's hard for a vendor to file for an educated appeal if they feel justified. Thank you for your time and consideration. Ken Kidd from CNL Supply. And the last one is also an anonymous item of correspondence. Tribal employee rights, an address to the governing officials of the Cherokee Nation. From the days of our first encounter with white men, Indians have had to continually reaffirm our inherent status. No other nation of people has had to deal with the issues that we must deal with on a daily basis. I am not fully aware of the issues at hand. However, I do feel that tribal employee rights was set forth to help Native Americans and Indian tribes in their economic endeavors. The TERO law gives tribes and individual Indians a hand up, so to speak, and should not be viewed as a handout. Ideally, if given the opportunity and if done the way it was intended, TERO can only benefit Indian tribes and enhance tribal efforts in economic development. The TERO law, as it is written, gives Indian-owned business and individuals an opportunity, nothing more and nothing less. It gives us an opportunity to do business and work for Indian tribes. The law currently does not give us absolute preference, nor does it guarantee that we would get hired or get a contract with the tribe. What the law does say, from my limited understanding, is we have the opportunity. If I and a non-Indian were applying for the same position and we were both equally qualified, then I have the opportunity to be the one hired. What of the law, as it is written, makes conducting business and the hiring of individuals a difficulty? What is the inconvenience? Is it that we must take the effort to seek those among our Indian people, a qualified individual? Is it because those Indian-owned businesses that seek to contract with tribes do not have the collateral to succeed? The old adages of we are our own worst enemy and shooting ourselves in the foot always seems to ring true when it comes to Indian tribes dealing with Indian people. I would think that an Indian tribe would want to support its people and the businesses that are owned by its people. I would think by doing so the tribe can only prosper. Being a member of an Indian tribe and being native is an awesome and powerful thing. But the source of that power does not come from the government of the tribe, nor does it come from its administration. The source and power that makes a tribe is its people. So I ask once again, what of tribal employment rights does not work for you? How is changing it make it better for your people? And what exactly do you want to change within the law? If changing the law in your mind's eye would allow tribes to contract with companies that have resources that Indian-owned businesses do not have, then I say you can do that anyway, under the law as it is written. If what you seek from resourceful companies is not provided by an Indian-owned business, then the law allows you to seek other contractors after you have given Indian-owned companies an opportunity. The erosion of tribal employment rights is not a step forward in tribal economic development. The changing of the law is a statement to the people that there is no qualified Indian-owned business capable of doing what needs to be done. It is a touch of arrogance that speaks and not the advocate for Indian people. I would say that the tribal employment rights law is sufficient as it is written. I would also say that those tribal members who are attempting to become economically self-sufficient need your help. They do not need another hurdle to jump over, especially from their own people. And that's the end of the written comments question. There was also a Jack Crittenden who asked to speak. Is Jack?
It's been pretty well said there, I think. The things that we want to point out.
Okay.
I think they put it pretty well, and ours was anonymous. Said pretty well the same thing. There's improvements that need to be made. I'll agree, but I don't have the answer to them. But I think one of the points they made there was that people are not notified. If you bid on a contract, they should have the courtesy at least to notify you if you were not the successful bidder, and that's not the case. We've experienced that for 30 years or 35 years, and I think that's an improvement that certainly could be made. But points that have been made there, I think, were good. We're not here to gripe. Okay. We're here to try to improve anything. Thank you.
This point, committee members, do you have comments?
I just want to clarify, so all the written comments and the transcript and all those will be available through Cherokee First, which is the proper, I mean, our council staff could provide it, but the proper mechanism is through the Freedom of Information Act. This would be through Cherokee First. So.
I just have one comment. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming today. I believe your voice has been heard, and I think that's all the Cherokee people want. Cherokee vendors, Cherokee contractors, Cherokee citizens, and I think this has proven that I believe we can hold hearings like this in the future also to not fix something that is broke. I think it's just got a few cracks in it that we just need to mend and move on and help our citizens be productive and grow their businesses out there in the world.
And as moderator, I would like to tell the committee members I have enjoyed being your moderator, and the reason I have enjoyed it is because it is so refreshing to see real government at work. Thank you. Now I'll turn back to
Do we have any more comments from any of the committee members?
Yes, Marie, I like to have one. I believe that all the apparel contractors and stuff, whenever there's a certain type of job coming up, I think these people, the contractors, ought to be notified and brought to a meeting just like we are right here, because a contract is a mighty important thing. Give you all the qualification and stuff and see if you're capable of meeting all the requirements and stuff like that. Then also when the reward is given out, then the contract bidder come back again and reassemble and tell them why they didn't get it and all of this, with a better understanding. Now, this takes time, but a contractor do a job among the Cherokee people, whatever, and pertaining to the Cherokee tribal member contractors. The preference ought to be first, because this is the Cherokee nation. We're spending Cherokee money and all of this. This is your money, so we need to know how we're going to spend it, and then we'll spend it correctly with the Cherokee people. Then you come back in, well, Cherokees, you don't qualify, but we've got some over here that are Indians, but then they qualify. So give them a reason why, so then that'll stop all the confusion and stuff. I didn't get it because of this. Then you will know the cost and the reason why you didn't get it, instead of going back home and or getting a letter saying that you're not qualified, but they didn't tell you why you wasn't qualified. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Keener. Phyllis, you have any?
Any comments?
I'd just like to thank everyone also for coming out, and this was our attempt to provide a forum for the issues that you wanted to have heard. And we apologize if we were late or if we were not all here. However, we provided the method for you to put your comments forward and to be heard. And I will assure you that we will listen to those comments and discuss them again several times, probably before we finally come up with a proposed solution to those issues that you have. I think that this committee is working very diligently with the Career Services Program, who operates TERO, and we only want the best. We want what works for you all and what works for us, and to still stay in compliance with all of the things that we must meet and not jeopardize our other programs who have federal guidelines and regulations as well. So thank you all for your time and getting out in this weather. And I know that there are a lot of things that we could all be doing on a Saturday morning, but this shows that you are really truly concerned about what's good for all of us, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Crick.
Thank you, Buell. I too would like to thank you for your comments and concerns. A couple of things I'd like to mention. I believe it was Mr. Brent Wright made a comment. He said to look at our laws on TERO and just enforce them. Another person, Mr. Foster, mentioned that penalties for non-compliance need to be stiffer. Both of these comments closely mirror my feelings on our current TERO law. That we have the laws in place if we would just follow what the law says and follow up on that. And concerned about jobs, another comment was made about starting up firms could use some help with their bonding and their insuring, getting insured. And that's something I think we need to look at. If we keep the money in the 14 counties, it turns over a lot of times, and it helps our people, and that's what it's all about. Thank you.
Councilmember President, that buzzer is not used. It's in my pocket.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Baker.
I've already said most everything that I had to say, but I want to congratulate the general counsel person from Adair County, who just put it very, very well. That we've got a law that is really not broke. We need to put a few teeth into it. We need to fine tune it. We need to enforce what's there, so that it'll make it better for everyone. And I appreciate his comments so much, and with that, I thank each and every one of you once again.
Thank you, Councilman Baker. Our chairman, she came in late, our chairperson, Audrey Connor, so we'll hear from her now and have her comment.
Thank you, Mr. Anglin. Yes, and I apologize for coming in late, but I made a prior commitment to coach a young girls basketball team, and I didn't have anyone to help me with that today, so I can't be two places at one time, and you got to think about 16 little big old eyeballs looking at you, looking for you to help direct them, so I apologize for that. But I do thank you for coming, for being present here today, and once again I would like to thank Councilor Cowan for bringing this to committee and asking that we provide this hearing. And one of the things that we all said we wanted to do was make sure that our people had an opportunity to speak and to be heard, and that is why we're here today. And I thank you for coming out and providing us the input that we need to help make those decisions. One of the things that we should be concerned about is that right now your tribal council is involved in this process, and we'd like to make sure that that remains. If it doesn't, you won't have this opportunity. So I'm afraid. So we need to all make certain that this council has a part in this legislation and in carrying out the work that needs to be done. So with that, once again, thank you. I wish I'd heard all the comments, but I'm sure I'm going to get to see it I'll get to view it myself and read the transcript. So again, thank you for coming out this yucky Saturday.
Thank you, Counselor. And I would like to publicly thank Council Lady Cherokee on all her time spent on developing all the paperwork for us. She spent many, many, many hours to help Audrey and I out with this committee. So it hasn't gone unnoticed, and so we appreciate your time today. And we also appreciate everybody coming out. Do you have any closing remarks?
When I got elected, this is one of those things that you can do all this other stuff, but this is really important today, and it's pretty emotional for me to have all of you guys here participating in our government, because for me, I feel like we've alienated our constituents from our process and how we do government anymore from what we used to do as a tribe. So I appreciate your time today. I mean, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, and thank you for those kind comments and for allowing us to do this as a body today. There are a couple of questions that I have still pending. For the most part, I believe that our current TERO law is proper and is where we need to be at. It just needs to be enforced. But there are some subtle changes that probably need to happen for us to better enact the law. And one of them that has come up is, do we have some kind of mechanism for Better Business Bureau type idea to pre-qualify? I mean, should a person be a TERO certified business if they're also just not doing business properly? I hope that makes sense. So I have my cards with me, and I'll be happy to give you a card if you would like to have more dialogue with me on this. But that, and then the additional preference of local and state-owned businesses after Indian-owned. There's some of those questions that have come up in my research for TERO that I think may need to be additions to the law, and I'd like to hear from all of you. And so thank you to all my TERO vendors, my constituents were here today. There was a lot of well-spoken Rogers County folks, and I appreciate your comments and coming out today, because that's an hour drive to get here at least. So thank you.
Thank you. Council Lady.
Yes, I did have one more thing, and that was to invite all of you at any time. The Employment Committee meets on the next date is February 16th at 5 o'clock. And if you're able to attend, we usually follow up with committee meetings on Wednesdays and Thursdays following the council meeting. And that follows the second Saturday, the Monday after the second Saturday of every month. So once you figure that little pattern out, then you'll know that committee will follow, Employment Committee will follow that Wednesday at 5 o'clock, and all of you are welcome. And we have expanded our meeting room over there so that we can hold more folks. So we welcome you. We invite you to come out anytime you have anything to say. If you would like to make comment in any of those meetings, I've got my cards here. You do need a request to be put on the agenda, and we have to do that 10 days prior, so prior to the meeting. So if any of you would like to be on the agenda, make certain that you contact us and we'll get you there. February 16th at 5 o'clock at the Council House. That will be our next Employment Committee meeting, and that's where we deal with TERO. Thank you.
Would anybody else care to say something before we adjourn?
Well, there's a logistical. Just to clarify, the council meeting by law is the first Monday after the second Saturday of every month at 6. The first Monday after the second Saturday of every month at 6 p.m. So then we have afternoons of Wednesday and Thursday of each of those weeks of that council meeting week is committee meetings. So the week of the council meeting on Wednesday at 5 o'clock is our standing time for the Employment Committee, which sees TERO issues, which considers TERO issues. If that's not clear. Thanks.
Any other comments?
Let me make a real quick question.
On the appeals and grievances, I'd just like to make one quick question. It might not need to be able to be answered here today, but we can get on the record and hopefully someone can get back with me on it. It has to deal with the appeals and grievance process of TERO and how far that process goes. Like I said, it would go to a committee and then somewhere after that, and then probably eventually to the JAT if it went that far. And once it gets to that position, can the tribe actually claim sovereign immunity against a tribal member who is also a TERO member and just, forget about it? I think that's something that needs to be addressed. I believe that happened to one individual, and that's always concerned me. So if someone could find out about that, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
If nothing else, entertain and move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Say, God.